All right, we are back with Saladin Ahmed's Daredevil #2. Now, #1, I was not a huge fan of. Matt Murdock has been turned into a Catholic priest, I guess, where he's hiding. I guess it's a new secret identity. And he kind of forgot he was Daredevil in part 1. Well, now he kind of remembers he's Daredevil, and it's not really well explained. And so we get into the second issue here. The art's okay. It's nothing to write home about, but it does look like a comic book at least. To me, I get really sick of a lot of the stuff that looks like it's traced from photos or traced from 3D models, and this looks like it's an actual comic art. So I do appreciate that on this level. It starts out the cops are showing up at the orphanage where he's working as a holy father, and the cops are like, "Hey, guess what? Some of the kids here are doing crimes and stuff, and we think they're being protected here." And he's like, "Get out of here unless you have a warrant." And he acts all hard and all that. So it's actually kind of a nice scene, and it feels pretty good and heroic here. But it's a lot of talking to start the issue, so not a lot happens in this issue. Because of that, because he gets disturbed by that, he decides to put on his devil costume and go out and just go into the streets. And he finds some weird like gang violence going on. Now the art here gets a little funky. You can see the proportions on like the bad guy here, really stiff and weird as a perspective thing, and also doesn't quite have solid proportions. So it looks kind of funky in here. And the lettering adds to the stiffness, believe it or not. So I don't know, not the best, but not, I've seen a lot worse, so not a big deal. So he has this little knockdown drag out fight with a nobody, and nothing happens. I mean, so it's just like kind of a filler issue almost as he goes back into his deal, talks about things going on. There's a background deal going on with some bad guys, which might show up later, which only takes place in like 3 pages, but that's it for the action. It is literally just it's back in the day when issues used to be told in a single story, they would have that action as like the first couple pages showing Daredevil beating up some mook to show he's a superhero, and then they'd move on to the actual plot, right? This one did this for several pages and then did not move on to the actual plot. So he goes out and he's researching stuff on the internet, and then I guess Ben Urich is betraying him somehow. It's implied, but we don't really get an answer to that. So it's supposed to set up a question, but there's no real reason to care about this or even know what's going on because it just was not set up that well. So there's some good things about this. Like I said, I liked the little cop versus the orphanage setup. I actually the storyline where he's fighting against some bad guys in the first issue, I would have hoped they developed that a little bit more, but they didn't because that was kind of interesting. But this is just mostly a boring issue, and I'm seeing this a lot out of the issue 2s right now from Marvel, that they start out some stuff and then they kind of just like slow it down, like they're trying to drag it out to 6 issues for a trade paperback or something like that, and that's what this feels like here. Some of the art's a little bit stiff. It's mostly okay. Nothing to write home about. And this is also kind of a weird thing. Why is he just like sitting on the internet looking at a screen that's a flat screen because he's blind? So even with his radar sense, like he wouldn't be able to see this, right? This is not something that makes any sense whatsoever for the character. And that's kind of a problem for Daredevil. The editor should have caught this and been like, hey, how come he's looking at a screen? You have to explain that at the very least, because he is a blind person. Is he feeling the screen in Braille or something? I mean, it doesn't look like it. So what's happening here? Not answered. All right, so kind of a bummer. This is the worst Daredevil I've seen in a long time. Usually Daredevil's been Marvel's book that's just consistently good, and this is very much a problem. We call it a 5 out of 10 overall, and I hope it does get better because it's been stalled out pretty good in issue 2. Leave a comment down below with what you think about that. Hit that like and subscribe button. We'll be back soon.